Today we are going to discuss about theories on instructional design. Before going into theories, let's see what instructional design is. Instructional design is a system of developing meaningful, effective and well-structured instructions using learning objectives, well-defined teaching strategies, evaluation and systematic feedback. It uses scientific principles as a basis to create learning experiences. An instructional designer's theoretical approach to learning affects how the instruction is designed, developed, and implemented. Most instructional designers' theoretical orientation is based upon one or the integration of three theories, that is, behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. Let's learn these theories in detail and about the basic principles of these theories. First fundamental theory on which instructional strategies are designed is based on behaviorism. Behaviorism has created a wide impact on different educational areas such as systems approach, computer-assisted learning, framing objectives, etc. In instructional design curriculum, behavioral objectives would contain a learning task split into distinct quantifiable tasks through analysis. Behaviorism focuses upon observable behaviors and behaviorists define learning as the acquisition of new behaviors. The behavioral emphasis on breaking down complex tasks such as learning to read into sub-skills that are taught separately has a powerful influence on instructional design. Behaviors are modified and learning is measured by observable change in behavior. Major learning theories associated with behaviorism are the theories based on Pavlov, Thorndike, Skinner, Watson and Gagne. First we discuss the behaviorist theory of Pavlov. The basic principles of behaviorist theory of Pavlov are: first one is stimulus generalization, second one is extinction, third one is spontaneous recovery, fourth one is principle of discrimination and higher order conditioning. Next we shall discuss about the observations of Thorndike. Thorndike's laws of learning for humans based on connectionism, and that of learning was the formation of a connection between the stimulus and response. His study revealed that behavior can be strengthened or weakened with the use of rewards and punishments and also through practice. There are three major laws in Thorndike's laws of learning. They are law of effect. The strength of connectionism is dependent on what follows. The second law is the law of exercise, that is, practice strengthens the connection. And the third law is the law of readiness, that is, if the learner is physically ready, the connection is satisfying for the learner. Next, we shall discuss the components of Skinner's programmed instruction, that is Skinner in the year 1958. The components in the Skinner's theory are: first one, behavioral objectives, second one, small frames of instruction, third one, self-pacing, fourth one, active learner response to inserted questions, and fifth one is immediate feedback. Now let's discuss the principles and mechanisms of Skinner's operant conditioning. First one is the positive reinforcement or reward. Behavior that is positively reinforced will reoccur. Intermittent reinforcement is particularly effective. A reinforcer is anything that strengthens the desired response. A reinforcer could be verbal praise, a good grade, or a feeling of satisfaction. Second one is negative reinforcement. Responses that allow escape from painful or undesirable situations are likely to be repeated. A negative reinforcement is any stimulus that results in the increased frequency of a response when it is withdrawn. It is different from aversive stimuli or punishment, which results in reduced responses. The third one is punishment. Responses that bring painful or undesirable consequences will be suppressed, but may reappear if reinforcement contingencies change. Fourth one is extinction or non-reinforcement. Responses that are not reinforced are not likely to be repeated. The schedules of reinforcement can be governed the contingency between responses and reinforcements and their effects on establishing and maintaining behavior. Schedules that depend on the number of responses made are called ratio schedules. The ratio of the schedule is the number of responses required per reinforcement. If the contingency between responses and reinforcement depends on time, the schedule is called interval schedule. The next theory is Gagney's model of instructional design. Robert M. Gagney is considered to be one of the foremost contributors to the systematic approach to instructional design, and his theory has provided a great number of valuable ideas for trainers and teachers. Gagney's model of instructional design is based on the information processing model of the mental events that occur when adults are presented with various stimuli and focuses on the learning outcomes and how to arrange specific instructional events to achieve those outcomes. Gagney's theories have been applied to the design of instruction in several domains such as the military, flying, leadership, engineering, and healthcare. The first step in Gagney's theory is specifying the kind of outcomes to be achieved. He categorized these outcomes into 5 types: verbal information, intellectual skills, cognitive strategies, attitudes, and motor skills. The second step is to organize appropriate instructional events, and the Gagney's instructional events are: the first one is gaining attention. When students arrive at class, their attention can be directed towards many other things. So for any learning to take place, first their attention must be captured and their interest should be aroused. The second one is informing the learner of the objective. Early in each lesson, students should encounter a list of learning objectives. This initiates the internal process of expectancy and helps motivate the learner to complete the lesson. The third point is stimulating recall of prerequisite learning. Associating new information with prior knowledge and personal experiences and getting the learners to think about what they already know can facilitate the learning process. Fourth one is presenting the stimulus materials. This event is where the new content is actually presented to the learner. Content should be organized meaningfully and explained and demonstrated using a variety of media. Fifth one is providing learning guidance. This event means showing what appropriate actions constitute correct performance, plus additional suggestions including the use of examples, case studies, graphical representations to help learners encode information for long-term storage, or in simple terms, make the stimulus as meaningful as possible. The sixth point is eliciting the performance or practice. The action now turns to learners. In this event, the learner is required to practice the new skill or behavior. Eliciting performance provides an opportunity for learner to confirm their correct understanding and the repetition for further increase or the likelihood of retention. The fifth point is providing feedback. While observing each learner performing the procedure, individual and immediate feedback and guidance can be provided and any question can be answered. In addition, feedback from other learners observing the performance is very useful. The eighth point is assessing the performance. At this point, the students demonstrate what they have learned without receiving additional coaching or hints. However, a single performance does not ensure that the new capability has been reliably stored and additional practice is needed. This phase will constitute demonstration of the whole procedure by the learner without prompt or guidance. The ninth point is enhancing retention and transfer. Once we are reasonably sure that the new capabilities are reliably stored, we can increase the likelihood that it will be retained over a long period of time by providing practice and spaced reviews. The repetition of learned concept is an effective means of enhancing retention, although often disliked by students. Additionally, transfer of knowledge and skills to new problems and situations is a goal of most instruction, but classroom time constraints make it more difficult to achieve. Another key period to the development of instructional design is Bloom's taxonomy of instructional design. We know that learning objectives are at the very core of the instructional design process. The classification system by Bloom was specifically designed to help instructors and instructional designers clearly to define the learning objectives and in turn create courses that meets learner needs. Bloom and a committee of educators identified three domains of learning, that is cognitive, that is a mental domain, and affective, emotional, and psychomotor, that is a physical domain. The first domain is the cognitive domain. The cognitive domain is divided into 6 categories, each representing a cognitive skill level. Each category is associated with a set of verbs or cognitive processes that describes what learners should be capable of doing. The categories are knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. The next is the affective domain. The affective domain includes the manner in which we deal with the things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, enthusiasm, motivation, and attitudes. The 5 major categories are listed from the simplest behavior to the most complex, that is receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterizing. The next domain is the psychomotor domain. The psychomotor domain includes the physical movement, coordination, and the use of motor skill areas. Development of these skills requires practice and is measured in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedures, or techniques in execution. The components of psychomotor domain are perception, guided response, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. The second basic theory related to instructional design is cognitive theories. Cognitive theories recognize that much learning involves associations established through contiguity and repetition. They also acknowledge the importance of reinforcement, although they stress its role in providing feedback and the correctness of responses over its role as a motivator. However, even while accepting such behaviorist concept, cognitive theories view learning as involving the acquisition or reorganization of the cognitive structures through which human processes and store information. First, we discuss the theory of cognitive learning by Jean Piaget. According to him, children are born with a very basic mental structure on which all subsequent learning and knowledge are built up. At its very basic level, his theory explains the role that human brain plays in helping learners understanding new complex concepts. Now we discuss the main features of Piaget's theory. The first one is it is concerned with children. Second one, it focuses on development and it does not address learning of information or specific behaviors. Third one, it proposes the discrete stages of development. Now we discuss the components of Piaget's cognitive theory. First is schema. It is a basic building block of cognitive models and it enables to form a mental representation of the world. It is the unit of knowledge. Second one is adaptation. This happens through 3 techniques. First one is assimilation, which use an existing schema to deal with a new object. Second one is accommodation. This happens when the existing schema does not work and needs to be changed to deal with a new object or situation. Third one is equilibrium. It is the force which drives the learning process. Now we shall discuss the educational implications of Piaget's cognitive theory. First one, assimilation and accommodation requires an active learner. Second one, the classroom learning should accomplish through active discovery learning. And the third one is the classroom learning should be student centered. And fourth one is the role of teacher is to facilitate learning. The third category of theory is constructivism. Constructivism believes that learners construct their own reality or at least interpret it based upon their perceptions or experiences. So, an individual's knowledge is a function of one's prior experiences, mental structures, and belief that you are used to interpret objects and events. Now we discuss the theories of constructivism. First theory is the theory of Merrill. The basic assumptions of Merrill's theory are: first is knowledge is constructed from experience. Second one is learning is a personal interpretation of the world. And third is learning is an active process in which meaning is developed on the basis of experience. And fourth one is conceptual growth comes from the negotiation of meaning, the sharing of multiple perspectives, and the changing of our internal representation through collaborative learning. And the last one is learning should be stimulated in realistic settings. The next theory is the constructivist theory of Brunner. The main aspects of this theory are: first one is the preposition towards learning. Second one is the ways in which a body of knowledge can be structured so that it can be readily grasped by the learner. Third one is the most effective sequence in which it has to be presented. And the fourth one is the nature and pacing of rewards and punishments. The third theory is Vygotsky's social constructivist theory. It asserts three major themes. First one is social interaction and need for scaffolding. Second one is the more knowledgeable other, that is MKO. And the third one is the zone of proximal development, that is ZPD. Dear students, I think you all have a clear idea about the theories of instructional design. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.